Okay, my friend, what makes you feel the most vulnerable?
What makes me feel the most vulnerable is actually showing myself on camera.
So this.
How
do you feel?
Nervous. I feel excited.
Exactly, that's the
I'm excited. I'm excited. We're reframing it.
Hello, friends. It is hot and sunny in Los Angeles, and I just went on a beautiful walk outside with Brandon and our prior guest that we had on and had lunch, and so I'm feeling good. This morning I was like a little bit of a shit show, just like my mind discombobulated, but I'm so here for this conversation for Marissa. Marissa is someone who is so special to me. We'll get into it, obviously, but we've known each other. I think she texted me the other day. We've known each other for like 11 years at this point. We went to FIDM together. We went to college together, met in San Francisco. She was one of two very good friends of mine, her and Michelle. Shout out Michelle, who worked at Sephora and helped me get my foot in the door. So I'm like just eternally grateful to both of them. And we've just kind of had all these like life phases together. Like she just happened to move to LA. Like I think it was a couple years after I did. And she's become such like a constant in my life. Every time we hang out, it's like we have the type of friendship. I mean, this is a lot of my friendships. This is my friendship with you too, Brandon. I think this is just what I do with my friends, but it feels like therapy in the best way. Not like we're dropping a shit ton of trauma on each other and like weighing each other down, but just like being there for each other and listening and like having deeper conversation over really yummy food is one of my favorite ways to hang out. And that is so what we do. We had a really cute lunch the other day, actually. And we were talking a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. So I'm curious to see where she wants to go with it because there were so many routes just because we've known each other for a while and have worked together in different capacities. But yeah, I hope that you enjoy this. I know that you'll love her. She's just such a sweetheart. And I will see you at the end. I think she's going to be here like literally any second. So I'm going to hop off. I'll see you at the end. Live from Melinda and Marissa's talk show.
Live.
Melinda and Marissa sounds
M&M.
slides off the tongue very well. Mm-hmm. I like that. I've never said it like that before.
Is this on?
I think so.
Okay.
I think Brandon told us we're on.
I feel like that's such like a microphone thing.
Do we sound good?
Is it on?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is your first podcast. Mm-hmm. I'm popping so many podcast cherries. I'm so down.
I mean, if anyone else had ever asked me, I would be like, no, I have to do something first.
I'm honored.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this literally since you had the idea, I feel like, right?
Yes, because when I launched the podcast, and all my friends that I'm filming with this week, because this week is like all my friends, which is so amazing. They were all at the top of the list because when I launched the podcast, like, of course, my mind goes there first. And also, I don't know, I feel like when you work in a creative industry, the people that you work with or work alongside become your community, become your friends much more than if you were to work in like other industries. Mm-hmm. I mean, I wouldn't know because I've always been in the beauty industry, but it feels that way.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah. You want to tap into your network because you work with a lot of inspiring people already.
Yeah.
So why not lift them up?
Exactly.
First
and like how
see where it goes.
Fucking cool and fun that like my work is hanging out with my friends.
I know.
I mean, this podcast does not in any way feel like work. Like the only thing that feels like work about this podcast sometimes is like, I guess uploading the content, because I do uploading the content. I have a beautiful angel, Aaliyah, helping me with my social right now, which is such like a weight off of my shoulders. But I just like pulled hair out of my head.
I love that. And I don't love that, but I love that you I love that.
Sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about.
I love that you delegated some of the things that you've been doing.
That was some universe shit. She just reached out to me. I had hoped that she was going to be here today, but she got booked for another job. But hopefully I can introduce her. I just really want her. She wants to like move more into the beauty space. I want to introduce her to all my network. But yeah, that was some universe shit because it's been such a relief and I hadn't even thought about like getting help because like I'm not monetizing the podcast yet. I'm not, so.
Yeah.
Anyways, I always like to give my guests the opportunity to introduce themselves and just say a little bit about what you've done and who you are, because I think that it's so much more personal when it comes from you.
Yeah. 100%.
So please.
Okay. So my name is Marissa, and I was thinking about this a lot this week, and I'm like, where do I start? Like people in their journeys, they're like, where do they start their, where does it really start for me? And when I was really thinking about it, I thought it kind of started all with FITM, which we were in one program together, but I did go there before I went after high school. I didn't really know what I wanted to do in life. My friends were all going off to college. I don't know if it was similar for you, but when I graduated high school, all my friends were going to like, these UCs, and they had really good grades, and they were like, playing sports and all this stuff. And there wasn't really anything that I was super gravitating towards, but I just had always known I was super creative. Like I always excelled in the arts or writing, and science and math, not so much. But I went to community college, and I was really, really sad about it, but I just didn't really try to like get out there and apply to colleges. I think I was a little bit afraid.
Probably a blessing though, because had you gone to UC and then like spent money on that and then found out that like, oh, I want to do something creative and then like transfer to FITM or something, that would have been, more turbulent, more expensive, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And I think just it's interesting looking back because I loved FITM so much, and I can't imagine myself at a regular college.
No.
I can't imagine going to like, I'd go visit my friends at colleges, but I can't imagine being at a school.
I cannot imagine being at like a UC school. Like it seems so. I visited a few of my friends who went to those kinds of colleges, and it was fun to visit, but like it just didn't feel like me. And I always giggled that FITM had a mini sorority.
Yeah.
But it wasn't actually a sorority. It was basically a club.
Yeah.
But like the sorority life and all of that is just not at all something that I can resonate with. Like that is just a whole foreign being. And I feel like that is oftentimes such a big part of those like big colleges. Or at least it seems that way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It just wasn't for me. And I guess you're right. No, like I guess maybe I knew that.
Yeah.
But like maybe in the back of my mind, but I was upset about it for a while, and I was like, okay, I'll go to community college. And I thought I wanted to do nutrition, psychology, like all these. I was like, I'll go that route. And I just learned that those are things I'm personally interested in, but not in terms of a career. And actually my mom, I don't remember if she had seen like an email or even a commercial, but she told me about FITM. And my mom
love that. So did my mom.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that. It's like our moms knew. Like they're like,
oh, my mom knew. She was like, oh, you're applying to this school. And I was like, should I not apply anywhere else? And she's like, no, you're going here.
Yeah.
It was like,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was.
And not in like a pushy way, like in a, like, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. That seems amazing. I want to do that. Like if you believe in me and like that you think that's it, like I'm down.
It was really cool because my mom was the exact same way. Like always believed in me, knew I was really creative, a lot like her.
We're lucky.
We're super lucky.
Yeah.
And she was like, let's go check it out. So we went and checked it out. And, the campus that we went to was the one in San Francisco.
Yeah. I went to LA first.
Oh, you went to LA first?
Yeah, I went to LA first. And then after my mom passed away, I like needed a change of environment. And I was like, I'm going to go to San Francisco. And Teal, my friend Teal, who Marissa knows, came with me. So I think I was already like at least a year in or something like that.
Oh, and then that's when we met.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So that's like the start of our journey.
I don't remember what class we were in when we met.
I don't remember either.
I remember sitting in the classroom when I first met Faye, who is also our mutual friend. Love you, Faye, so much. I remember that moment because it was so distinct, and she was like, I looked at her boots or something. I think we were in a business class together, maybe. Anyways, go on.
Yeah. I don't remember. I was trying to remember like at the first point when we had met too, but I couldn't recall. But so we go to FITM, the whole thing. Yeah. Like you do the project, you get in. Like it was so surreal. Like I'm in the lobby. I just found out I got in, and I meet this girl in the lobby, and like all of a sudden we're roommates, and we live. She was like, I have a studio downtown. Like
I don't know if I ever met her.
No, because this was the first program before.
Yeah.
And then I took a couple years off. I After the associate's program, I kind of thought I was just done with school. I was like, oh, that's all I
Oh,
need.
okay, gotcha.
And I don't remember how it came up, but I think the bachelor's degree was offered in LA,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
But it wasn't offered at any other campus. And so
Gotcha.
I considered moving to LA, and I came down here and I was like, okay, well, maybe I will. And I never did. San Francisco really felt like home to me. My parents grew up there. My family, some of my family lives there. And so San Francisco felt like a really
Yeah.
good move. But when I was working afterwards, like I worked in retail and I really, really wanted to get into corporate.
Yeah.
But I'm like, how do I do that?
Yeah.
And even thinking about it now, it's like when you go and apply for a job, you can easily go on a place like LinkedIn or Indeed and you can find job listings, but it wasn't like that then. I think it was like you signed up for career websites, they'd send you postings. It was always hard to get a hold of someone, especially for corporate jobs.
I swear like even Craigslist.
Yeah, maybe.
Like I swear corporate might have been using Craigslist at that point. I think because like I found like a Sephora internship that I interviewed for and I did not get, which is like a story I always love to tell.
That's so funny.
And I feel like that might have been like Craigslist, which is so bizarre to think about.
Yeah, I was racking my brain this week trying to think like, how did I make that shift? Because what had happened was in tandem with actually going back to FITM and going to the bachelor's program, I left retail and I found an internship in corporate randomly. And I went from, making like a decent wage doing visual merchandising to then going and being an intern and making $12 an hour. But I was like, I have to make this shift somehow. Like, what am I going to do? And I was starting school again. And in going to school, I always had to work full time and go to school. So it was a lot to balance.
Yeah.
But luckily I was in the position where I was like, I can take this position and I just feel like it's going to work. Like I just have a feeling. And so within 2 months of working at Charlotte Russe as an intern in accessories and jewelry, I was brought on and then continued to go through my program at FITM. And then, we met.
Yeah.
So,
and I thought you were so badass because of that. Like I had not stepped into like the corporate space yet. And that was like my dream at the time too. And meeting you and being in the same program, I was like, oh, she's at Charlotte Russe. Like, how cool.
Oh my God, thank you.
Yeah.
I love that.
Aspirational.
Yeah, it was amazing. And like, in your 20s too, like we both worked at Sephora in our 20s. So it's like you meet so many people, you meet a lot of friends. Like I met some of my closest friends at Charlotte Russe. I met some of my closest friends at like, obviously we met during school, but then working at Sephora, like we had that bond there. So like you meet so many people in these amazing places that you work.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we were in the FITM program and I remember like Michelle, Michael too, like there was 12 of us. So there was 12 of us in our cohort.
I don't even remember.
Which is crazy.
Number,
And there was only one cohort before us, I think in San Francisco.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah.
But yeah, that time together and I think meeting and hanging out and like, I always was really inspired by you too. Cause I was always like, Melinda's just so cool. Like and she's so nice. And I love her. And I just always knew that we would be friends, because we just like, you have a gentle heart.
Thank you.
And then.
As do you.
Thank you. And then I think I was at Charlotte Russe for about 2 years, but then a previous classmate of mine, which I don't recall. Do you remember a girl named Lisette?
Yes.
Okay. So Lisette, if you're listening, thank you so much. But so
I can't really fully put the face on, but I definitely remember her.
Yeah, she was very much like she was so smart.
Yeah.
Like and I think she wanted to go more of like the e-commerce route and she was working at Sephora. Gotcha. Ended up stepping into her position.
Oh,
so
dope.
she reached out to me and while I was working at Charlotte and she was like, "Hey, I'm leaving Sephora. Would you be interested in interviewing? I think this role would be perfect for you." And it's so funny because we weren't like super close friends. We were definitely like, we were classmates.
Yeah.
We knew each other like professionally.
Well, that says a lot though. You had worked together in school and she saw your work ethic to the point where she was willing to recommend you for a position.
Yeah.
Like, that says something.
I was very honored. And even looking at it in retrospect, I'm like, like she definitely she knew me. So maybe it wasn't as much of a risk, but you never know.
You were my Lisette because I was saying, I filmed the intro for this episode before you got here and I was saying, you and Michelle were my foot in the door for Sephora.
Yeah.
Like, there was like one other woman that Jake's friend Rose reached out to like recommend me, but at that point you both had already recommended me, and you two were the ones that sent me the position in merchandising. So thanks for that. Thanks Lisette.
Yes.
And thank you.
Thank you, Lisette.
So you got into Sephora.
So I got into Sephora. I like went and I interviewed. They're like, "Can you start on Monday?" I'm like, "Yes, I can." Like, I wanted to give those 2 weeks, but I couldn't. And I just stepped into like this whole new world of beauty. I think that was in 2015. And this was like at the height of, influencer partnerships were starting to get important. I worked on the Jaclyn Hill, Becca
that's
Champagne
always my
Pop.
reference. That's always my reference. Whenever I'm like, when I started, it was like the beginning of it all. Like,
Iconic.
Yes.
And it's like, it's such a weird thing because if you're just not in beauty in any way, like you just don't care about beauty. Like, it's so funny. Like I'll talk about it with, people, and like maybe like Nick is seeing me, like my boyfriend Nick, maybe he's like hearing me having a conversation and he's just like, oh my God, like the detail you're going into, like just all of these things like within the beauty world. It's like that we know. It's just so funny because that was a really big deal.
What was it like for you stepping into that role though? Because I know for me, when I started at Sephora, Sephora has been, in my experience, has been a really amazing place to work. Of course, there's always up and downs. Of course, you're always kind of at the mercy of whatever manager you get. Like, not everything's always going to be perfect, but generally speaking, my experience there has been really positive. However, when you start any new job in a corporate setting and it's a whole new world, like, girl, I was crying in the bathroom stalls.
Yeah.
And like, it's not because someone was doing something to make me cry. It's because it was such an intimidating, because it was so exciting and like new and different environment. And I felt so much pressure to like get it right because it was so important to me.
Mm-hmm. Especially for you too, because you were on the brick and mortar side. For me, I felt a little different because I was on the digital merchandising team. And the .com business was really small at that point. I mean, it was sizable, but it had a lot of opportunity. Yeah. And so I felt like we were building from the ground up, kind of. We were very scrappy. Like I spearheaded building like a manual for like what a merchandise coordinator would do, which was my role.
I remember you working on that.
Yeah. That was like my project to get eventually promoted.
But that's huge for them to give that to you.
Which was huge. And I, to be honest, I'm way more of a creative person than like a process person. So that helped me kind of go into a little bit of a different avenue of work.
I feel like I should also say for those who are listening, because I don't know if this is like common knowledge, but merchandising is the buying department.
Yes.
Just so everyone knows, like it's you are the people who are choosing which products are coming into Sephora. And you were doing it on the .com end because we do have like .com exclusive brands, but you're also managing all of the brand's .com business. And then I was doing it on the brick and mortar in-store side. Yeah. Just so context.
So we were across the floor from each other. Yeah. But yeah, that's great context. And that was honestly always my intention too, was to go into buying. Yeah. Once I went to FITM, I did product development for my associate's degree, but then I had sort of decided like, if I'm going to do product development, I do also need that business acumen, right? I can't just be creative. I have to know both.
That makes so much sense though, that you had the product development side and you have the business side and you have your own brand.
Yeah.
I never really put that together.
Yeah. And I always knew at some point that eventually I was like, I want to work for businesses and learn, but I also at some point wanted to start my own. And I never knew what it was. Even before beauty, like I always thought I'd be in fashion.
Same.
I didn't want to be in fast fashion, but I felt like that was a good segue. It was
Thank God we chose beauty.
Oh my God. Thank God. I have friends who've stayed in fast fashion and it's just miserable.
There's a lot of ickiness around that. I mean, there's a lot of ickiness around everything. Who am I kidding?
It felt more of my my passion, my beliefs, like to go somewhere like Sephora because Charlotte Russe so much waste.
The tone of the beauty industry adapted and learned from fashion, I think, because it kind of came up and peaked after fashion did. And I think a lot of people kind of put their foot down, and as we like evolved as humans as well, like about like the tone. Like the
Yeah.
fashion industry was very nose in your air, very nose in the air, very like, Devil Wears Prada kind of vibes. Like that was real shit in the fashion industry. I've had friends and managers and people who have had careers in fashion prior to beauty, and like those stories are fucking real. Like it's dark.
Yeah.
And so I'm very grateful that I was in beauty.
Yeah, same. And maybe it was being in California too. I thought about moving to New York at one point, but I was like, I just love California. Like, okay, like San Francisco, LA, like I can deal with that.
Closer to home too.
I'm just a California girl. But yeah, so at Sephora, huge learning experience. I almost worked there for almost 4 years. I worked in fragrance, but then I after I was promoted, I only worked in color. So first I worked in fragrance and color. Which was a lot, but it was amazing.
So many brands to learn.
So many brands.
I think you had like 50 brands at one point, if I remember correctly.
So many brands.
Like, can you imagine? Like, she is part of the team that is one of the only like contacts with brands and Sephora, because only brand marketing, so essentially one marketing team and then merchandising, are the only teams at Sephora that like communicate and maintain those relationships with brands. So you have to get to know 50 plus brands, or in your case at least. I had less, and then know all of those people and all of those relationships and all of their sales.
Yeah, and know what they're all doing.
Educated on how their performance is doing. Like, God.
Yeah, we'd pitch brands for emails. You'd have to know what the new innovation is. What are brands focusing on with their core products? Like, what is the story with everyone? So it was a lot. It was a lot to do, but I had amazing people I worked with, which was really inspiring. I think something that just in my corporate world in general, like the Charlotte Russe and Sephora, I would say Sephora number 1, Charlotte Russe number 2, in terms of just meeting really inspiring people.
You had like inspiring people, good people, but we won't say where or when, but you also had some difficult people.
Yeah, there were definitely difficult people for sure. And I would say also when I moved, after I left Sephora and when I moved, I had a lot more not so great experiences with people, like especially during the pandemic. But being at Sephora, launching brands, like I got to be a part of just so many exciting things and learn so many amazing like tools for my toolkit.
Yeah.
I mean, I helped launch Pat McGrath, like Tom Ford Beauty, Anastasia Beverly Hills. Like those brands are like, they feel like legacy brands now, right? Or
to be
Pat
part of
McGrath,
launching
iconic
that
for
is so
sure.
cool.
So cool working with the makeup artists, and just like being in the room was just
in the kitchen, as they say,
right?
At Sephora.
Exactly, in the kitchen. Being in the kitchen was just so inspiring, and I ended up leaving because I wanted to move, and there was no remote work or anything, so it was a really hard decision to leave.
You left after me, right?
I did.
Yeah,
I did,
because I moved to LA first.
Yeah, you moved here first.
Yeah.
And I think you probably lived here for like a year.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So I left in like the summertime, took a break, went to Bali for a couple weeks. Then we moved to LA.
And you needed that.
Yeah.
I feel like you were toasted.
Yeah.
After you left, you'd just been working so fucking hard, and you've had such a history with like horrendous migraines, and it's just like people hear migraines and they're like, yeah, migraine, like, but like consuming, debilitating. Like you were in bed, could not move, and you imagine working a full-time, really intense job.
Yeah.
And your entire life. Like I feel like you going to Bali was so necessary.
Oh my God. Well, and such a so interesting you mentioned the migraines too, because I was thinking about it recently, and they're much better now, but at that time I wasn't taking the medication I'm on. I didn't get Botox for migraines.
You were in hell.
I was in hell.
I remember. You were in hell.
And we were like, going to happy hour every night. We're going to we're going to Soul Cycle after work, and then we're going to get wine. And like, I was struggling. I was really unhealthy internally. Like on the outside, things were great. And I love my job. I love my friends. I wanted to leave San Francisco, but I was sticking in it for Sephora. But yeah, with the migraines and my health,
your entire life means nothing once your health goes. Like,
I agree.
Health if you don't, it's just like, how are you supposed to enjoy anything when you're struggling like that? And it's so exhausting as well, and
So
defeating to
exhausting.
be like, oh, I'm in so much pain. Like, it was chronic for you.
Yeah,
And
and
it still
no one
is.
understood.
I know you have it more under control now.
Yeah, I do remember even being at Sephora and the idea of going home to like recover,
Yeah.
and then being like, oh, I'll just grab my laptop then. Like working from home was not really
A thing
a
then.
thing
Yeah.
then, at least there. They'd be like, no, take the day off. But yeah, just the pressure to perform when
Yeah.
you don't feel good.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely a common theme in my life is
Yeah.
just like, yeah, working through that, whatever it is. But yeah, it's funny that you remember that. Cause yeah, it was definitely a struggle and still is sometimes, but
Oh my God, because it was so gnarly. Like, I could
so
feel
gnarly.
the energy. Like, I could
Yeah.
feel how heavy it was for you. And
Yeah.
then the pressure of trying to like show up, and also having some people that wouldn't understand what you were going through. Like, I don't know, just was really, I just feel for you. That was really, as someone who had chronic nausea for 3 years, I think that puts it in perspective to me for like what you were dealing with. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so post Sephora, you moved to LA.
Yeah, so moved, I think it was about 7 years ago, moved to LA, and there wasn't really a driving force in terms of like, oh, there's this job I'm going after.
You were just coming here for me.
Yeah, I was just coming here for you. And I was like, I'll figure it out along the way. And so my boyfriend and I moved, and he's a chef. So he's like, of course I can be a chef in LA.
Yeah.
And then for myself, I wanted to try and do content creation
Yes.
full time for a little bit.
That's the other thing. Like, before we even left San Francisco, I remember going to lunch with you and just like trying to pick your brain, because you were like one of the first people in my circle who had developed a real following on social media. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, tell me your secrets.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, actually,
I forgot
now that
about
you mentioned that was in the end.
You're like an OG. Like, you are. You're like literally like one of the first people that I know.
Yeah, I did, because I did start. So I started my blog, which now is like my Instagram, but like it used to be a blog that I wrote on. It was called Marissa Explains.
So
I was
good.
Obsessed with Marissa Explains It All as a kid, and just like would write on there every week. But then I would do more short form on my Instagram, and I was utilizing all the things I was getting from Sephora, because like we get so many products, right?
Yeah.
Just being in the beauty industry, like, oh my God, you just get so many things.
Yeah, my whole guest room is filled.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, come to my product closet. Like, Merry Christmas.
It's a huge perk of the industry.
It's a huge perk. I love it. I love it. But yeah, I was starting to post things, and then because my friends and family would always be like, oh, what are you liking? Or like, I don't know, for whatever reason, always come to me for like maybe some inspiration or for some new things like that I am, currently liking.
Of course. I mean, you're in the business. You know what's performing and what's doing well.
Yeah. And so I thought to myself, well, why don't I just start posting about it? And so I had a separate Instagram account that was personal. Yeah. And then I made one for my business, and started posting. And where it got a little tricky was, yes, I don't know that they had really talked to anyone else at Sephora about like content creation and like what they could post and not post. Yeah. It was definitely
it was
way too new. And so I started to get products from other brands. And I'm like, I wasn't thinking about that as like, oh, this is like, it's not like Ulta was sending me things, but like I was posting about that stuff. And I remember Urban Outfitters was really trying to get into beauty at the time. And they sent me like this big box of stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is so cool. And I'm just doing it for fun, but Sephora really didn't like, that
kind of a competitor,
a competitor, which I, completely agree with. But at the time, it was just this gray area.
That way. You and I both, I think, had that experience at Sephora where we were kind of. I'm not trying to like toot our horn. It's just factual. Like, we were the first to do certain things. Yeah, because I was kind of the first on the social team to kind of put myself out there on social like that, and even more specifically because I had so many friends in the space, to be invited to brand events regularly. And there was a point in time where they were like, oh, I don't know if you should be going to events unless like you're going through Sephora. And it was Sephora brands, but like it was still a potential conflict, which obviously now it's not. But like I had to kind of be the first person to like have those conversations with management and be like, well, this is why. And
Yeah. Remember we went to that Becca event and we roller skated?
Yes.
I have those roller skates.
I got rid of mine like a dummy, and I don't know why. I
got rid of the jacket. I
don't know why I got rid of them.
That was so fun.
Yeah, that was
fun.
Becca roller skates?
Yeah.
Yes.
I know, I'm such a dummy.
Light
Why?
chaser highlighters, RIP. But maybe they'll come back.
That was the beginning.
I mean, I know Champagne Pop still exists. It's just under Smashbox now.
Oh, really?
Which is really odd.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I think I don't know. They like kept the iconic.
I mean, it is such an iconic product.
Yeah. But yeah, it was gray area. That was also one of the things that gave me a little bit sour taste in my mouth at the end. But I understand, you know.
Of course.
Again,
everyone's
was
just figuring it out.
It was just me
it's
trying
new.
to have fun. I was creating a platform. I didn't really know what it was going to turn into, and yeah, when I moved, I had a couple people tell me, well, why don't you move and just like try and just do that, like be a content creator. And I, you know, something that makes me nervous is honestly like being on camera. I mean, I'm not the person that's like on my feed. You know, I think you do it really gracefully because you do like a mental health check-in, which is something that's like obviously very important to your platform, but also just you as a person that just comes
It's
like
authentic.
naturally. It's authentic.
It's like actually shit that I talk about in my life and with my
Exactly.
friends. I feel like I have a few people in my life who, whether they have a brand or they just work in the space and they want to use their platform as like a business card essentially, because everything is social media these days, especially as it relates to the beauty industry, but they have a hard time doing so. And I've always been like I'm my mother's daughter. Like I tell you my whole life story. I'm an open book. Like I'm like, blah, here's everything, all my trauma. And then growing up as a competitive dancer, very, very comfortable kind of being on stage or in front of cameras. And I wasn't always. When I was little, I used to like sweat and turn like a tomato red. But anyways, my question is what holds you back?
When I'm breaking out.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, I love how I'm like when I'm breaking out.
That's a very real answer. And it's also interesting because I don't feel like I ever see you breaking out.
I'm always breaking out. Well, not always.
I feel like I'm always breaking out too, and people tell me the same thing. So
yeah,
I understand.
I'm gonna be honest. I have a sugar addiction.
Same girl.
Just like I mean, I brought
Brandon.
I brought cookies. Like I have a sugar addiction. You know, like it's me. Yeah. I think hormonal though. I think has like what in my adult life has become sort of a barrier of me like wanting to just jump on camera and like be comfortable. Because in my more so in my 30s, I feel like hormonal acne, like around the chin, sort of coming in. But yeah, I think just being on camera, just like, and I'm looking directly at myself, and I'm like, oh, I need to like fix that, you know.
And I hate it because like I know you are such like a self-love, self-accepting, like you have that mentality the same way I do, the same way so many of us do. And you can talk the talk and you can try, but there are so many layers of conditioning that we've experienced growing up.
Yeah.
So, and stupid beauty standards and things that we're fed, but it adds more pressure as well. I think when you work in the beauty industry,
It does.
like all of a sudden you're supposed to be like an expert voice on product, and you're like, oh, but I'm breaking out.
Yeah.
Or you have a skincare product, and like you're like, oh, I'm breaking out. Like I'm a Sephora Beauty Director, and I'm like, oh, I'm breaking. Like I shouldn't
100%.
be. But then at the same time, it's kind of like the way that I like to talk about mental health, and I'm like, yeah, I am a beauty director. Yeah, I am like this whatever, like I have this success, I have this cool role, but there's still this vulnerability to me. Like that's not everything. Everyone has struggles. Like it's all relative. But acne's a hard one.
It's a hard one. And so I mean, it's honestly it's something that
Is that the main thing? I've actually never asked you this before because we've talked about it, and you're like, I want to put myself out, but I've never asked you why.
It is the main thing, yeah.
Wow.
It is the main thing. I mean, this is going to sound so cheesy, but in the old apartment I lived in, part of it too was the lighting. I was like, I need to get like a legit lighting
That's
setup.
not cheesy. That's just
it was during
logistics.
the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like we were just indoors. But then we moved and much better now. But yeah, I think just looking at myself directly in the mirror. And then I think too, even though like, you know, like when we hang out, we can talk about anything,
Yeah.
but that's not that common, right? So
Yeah.
when I'm getting on a public platform, especially, yeah, being public too, the account and everything, sometimes I'm just like,
Yeah.
I
don't blame you.
get a little nervous, and I'm like, and then I'm also like, how far should I go?
Yeah.
You know, I definitely would want to get more personal on my platform. Like, and I have definitely in written posts, but not really like me, like on my stories or in a video or something. It's way less common.
Well, thanks for answering that. Cause I mean, like, and I hope it didn't come off at all like, why are you doing this? This is so easy. Like, just because it was an easy transition for me, I very much so recognize that is very rare.
Yeah.
Like my family, people around me, they're like, how the hell? Like, and I'm like, it feels so easy and natural to me. Like when I started to do lives for Sephora for like millions of people, I was just like, oh yeah, okay. Yeah. Like I'm so grateful for that feeling. But like, yeah, I recognize that is not the norm.
Yeah. I think too, I was listening to something yesterday and they were saying like, how do you get prepared for like going on, you know, stage in front of like thousands of people? And the person was like, well, I just look at it as, you know, it's exciting. Instead of saying like, I'm nervous, I'm about to go on camera or I'm about to go do a speech, you know, then you're nervous because it's all you're controlling your thoughts with that mindset. But if you're like, I'm excited, you know,
well, because it feels
sure, you're still gonna be nervous, but like, yeah, it feels the same.
And it's like whether you're excited or you're anxious, the feeling feels the same in your body. And generally speaking, not always for anxiety, but generally speaking, when you feel that as it relates to like excited, anxious energy, it's just because you care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's easier said than done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I would love to be more on camera. I think, you know, you sort of touched on it. You're like, okay, like you have a product, you know, and you're nervous to get on camera. And I am
an amazing product.
So in part of my long beauty journey, so I think now, so if I started working at Sephora in 2015, I've been in beauty for 10 years now, which is really crazy. Wow.
And you've done every side of beauty. Like you've worked retail Sephora, you've worked brands, and you've launched your own brand, and you've been a content creator. Like you are such a well-rounded beauty industry person.
Thank you. I feel like that's, you know, I think that's something when I talk to people and like even how I actually got my last job is I'm like, I have used all of these experiences as ways of just learning, growing, you know, figuring out what I want to do, what I don't want to do, and just having the opportunity. Like, again, I think going back to like meeting great people in the industry that like introduce you to the right people and say, hey, maybe you should try this, or, you know, they have confidence in you. So when I moved to LA, I worked for a couple different companies. And then the pandemic happened. I had like a couple remote jobs, like the world shifted. Like I had to get out of beauty for a little bit and do other things because it was like,
it was tough out there.
It was really tough.
Yeah.
And in 2019, I started developing my own product.
Yeah.
And I knew, like I said, I always wanted to have some type of business. Originally, I think it was like I wanted to have my own like line, you know, of like a collection, like a clothing collection. And then I kind of morphed into like, well, maybe I'll have a boutique and maybe I'll just be like a store owner and I'll be the buyer, you know, for all the products. And then being in beauty, I was like, well, I can't go back now. So I'm in my bathroom and I'm like looking at just like, you know, probably like over hundreds of products in my cabinet. And I'm like, you know, I'm so focused on like doing this the step skincare routine, you know, but like, why can't there just be one or like a couple things that I use and like I'm good to go and my skin looks good and like it and the product actually works.
Yeah.
And I've always been into natural beauty, clean beauty, and I think that movement has just continued to get bigger and more important. And so I thought of a concept for my own product, and I started. I don't even know how it happened, but I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna make a product. Like I don't know how, but I'm gonna figure that out.
I mean, we all have it in different places, right? Like I have the gumption to step in front of the camera. I don't have the gumption to start a brand. Like, so we carry it in different places.
Yeah, definitely different
It's
places.
badass.
Yeah.
And when you were doing it, I was just like, that's badass.
Yeah, I remember like getting the first, I was like, okay, I had figured out, I'm like, I want to do a product that's multitasking.
Yeah.
I've personally always loved facial oil. So I was like, I think I want it to be a face oil. And I got a lot of feedback from people that was like, well, face oils, they're not that big in the market. It's a hard sell. And like, obviously these are people from all different aspects of life. Some that I really care about their opinion, some that I may not, but I knew, I was like, that it's a product really for me, essentially. First and foremost, I need to love it. And I knew that an oil was something that could have a great formula, but also provide this like really amazing benefits. And so I started like this, I had this big pamphlet and started writing down all these natural ingredients that kind of came to mind. I don't know if I had told you, but originally I wanted the product to be more like celery based. It does have celery seed oil in it, but I was on this celery juice kick and I was like, celery juice is, it's the one. Yeah. It's what everybody needs. But I started to kind of go through it and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to make something that brightens my skin, hydrates it, but also I really wanted an exfoliating property, which is not super common. Usually you find that in like peels or like true masks. And I identified that lemon peel oil was actually something that not a lot of brands use because it can be very harsh. Yeah. But if you use the right amount.
Yours is not at all. Your face oil is, I think, honestly, the first face oil that I've used that not only doesn't break me out, but also gently exfoliates my skin because I'm dry. And that lemon seed oil is like that natural enzymatic exfoliation, and so it's gentle. You can use it every day. It hydrates. It's such a beautiful formula. You killed it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing. I use it every day. I've gotten so much positive feedback. I think like this was definitely like a passion project to create, right? Like something that I knew that I was going to still be working full time. I wasn't really looking at it from the lens of like, I'm going balls to the walls. Like I'm getting investments.
We were talking about balls to the walls the other day. I was like, what does balls to the walls mean?
I think that's
where did the phrase come from?
Legitimately the first time I've ever said that.
I'm so glad you did because literally I said it the other day after we finished filming. I forget the context. And I was just like, what does that mean? Where does it come from? Oh, wait, we Googled it.
It's about the fighter pilots and putting all the jets full throttle.
Oh, yes.
All the balls are to the wall.
Yes, the fighter pilots on the plane, the like handle that they used to push forward was like in a ball shape. So when you're pushing it, it's like the balls to the wall. So like you're going full forward.
And then that's why they say full throttle too, probably.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So
I was thinking balls to the walls was like a sexual reference or something. And I was like, what, like you're having sex so hard that like you're pushing your balls against the wall? Like
I mean, that's more the literal definition, but figuratively, we're talking about fighter jets.
Sorry. Okay, continue. Just a quick pause for balls.
Just PSA on balls to the walls.
Yeah.
But I knew. I was like, I've seen a lot of brands, they, go, like, they go after it initially. And I really felt like, too, I was like, I also have one product.
Yeah.
So, like.
Which I think is smart.
I know that there will eventually be more products.
Yeah.
It will be very, no more than 5 products.
You have good ideas
in this
we've talked about.
Brand. Yeah. So I would say no more than 5 products. This really is the holy grail. But I always knew like, this is a stepping stone for me to also take what I'm learning here into my, regular 9-to-5 job. I've stayed with beauty buying, account management. I've also now dabbled into trade marketing. So that's what I'm currently doing, which is really exciting because I've always been on the sales side. So now I'm like, okay, I want to learn more of the marketing, the creative piece, like visual merchandising in store. So it's like, I always knew that by creating my own brand, that was also going to help me in so many other ways professionally, just to know all the different facets of creating a business. I mean, I did everything. Like I did all of the product development. The product development was actually the easy part for me because once I got that first sample, I just like, it was so interesting. I like immediately knew. I went through 2 more rounds of switching out some ingredients, and the 3rd round I had my product.
Damn.
So it was that.
Yeah, for people that don't know, like sometimes people go through 25, 50, 75 rounds of formulating, but I think it's also really helpful that you had the background and the experience of being immersed in so many products and so many formulas, both professionally and then like usage that brands was sending you, because you're able to identify things so much quicker.
Yeah, definitely. And so nailing that, and then like getting like I had gotten some funding like from family, but nothing like, you know, from anybody else, or I wasn't taking investment. I wasn't like presenting this to anybody. I just was launching it on my own with the intention to launch on my, you know, my DTC.
Yeah.
But yeah, did everything. Product development. I actually worked with Michael, who we were in school with. He helped me with my design of my labels. I bottled everything in my living room.
I love it.
I hand labeled every bottle.
It's so pretty.
I boxed every bottle. I didn't have my lab bottle everything because I was trying to figure out how to do this with limited budget.
Right.
So I was like, well, I'll do it.
And you were shipping it. You did everything.
They shipped me a vat. Yeah, I ship the products too. Like if you place an order on our website, it's me or Nick, like physically going to the post office and shipping it. So it was just an amazing experience. And like, taking all my knowledge from different pieces of where I've been, and also using it as like a tool for my mental health, really.
Yeah, okay. So I'm glad that you just said that, because I'm sitting here and I'm like, first of all, you're fucking badass. Like, you're so impressive. Your career is so impressive. Your experience, like everything that you can bring to the table. And it's no wonder why brands continue to go after you. But behind every amazing story, there is like so much more depth. And you are one of my friends who we sit down and we go so deep, and we both struggle a lot. It's a roller coaster. And I feel like, you know, every other time we see each other, it's usually like, okay, Melinda's going through it right now, or Marissa's going through it right now, and we just listen. But tell us a little bit about your mental health journey, because I think people need to understand that, like, you can be fucking amazing and you can have the incredible job and you can look all shiny, but at the end of the day, it's the work that we need to do on ourselves that actually brings us joy in this life. It's not the material success that we experience.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, that is helpful.
Yeah.
We have, you know, realistically in this, you know, this life, you need to make a living, but you get what I mean. Yeah,
I get what you mean. And too, like, having in the industry that we're in, I think sometimes we use our career as like a barrier, right? To like, it's obviously our careers and our personal lives are different, but I've used my career to be shielded from my personal life at times, to be like, I don't want to, it like, this sounds wild, but maybe I don't want to go home from work right now. Maybe I don't want to be done for the day. I don't want to feel those feelings. I don't want to feel those feelings.
If I can keep distracted, if I can keep going, I'm like, I'm like going to reach the top. I'm going to be sick. But then you're just suppressing and suppressing.
Exactly.
And that energy is living in your body.
Yeah. And the timing of starting Sure Beauty is interesting, because I had moved like, I think just a year prior. I had moved like a year before. And yes, filling my time with this project of like, this is something I want to do, but also, I'm off work and now I got to do this. And then now I got to go work out, and I got to like, my schedule's filled. When do you have time
to center yourself and actually ask yourself how you're doing?
Yeah.
Never. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's when I had moved to LA, I'd always had like a pretty like not so, my childhood was great in a lot of senses, but there was also like a couple difficult pieces. Like we talked about our moms, like the center of my childhood, the center of like my universe, you know, made everything amazing for me, for sure. But there were also a lot of things that were not so great. Like my parents really struggled with their relationship. And when I moved to LA, it was interesting because my family lives in the Sacramento area. So San Francisco, not that far, you know, it's like a 2-hour drive. And I was always close enough to home where I could go back, like even for the day, but I was far enough away where I had my own life. So moving to LA was interesting because I was further away and I didn't really think about it at the time because I was close with my family at the time, but not in the sense of like, I just thought a couple more hours in between. I'm like, it'll be fine,
Yeah.
you know? And when I moved, I did 23andMe. And it was funny because I asked for it for my birthday. I was like, Nick, like, get me this for my birthday. I want to know about my genealogy.
Getting a real gift with this one.
Yeah, it was a real gift for sure. But so I get my results, and this is so a sidebar, but I turned to Nick and I'm like, what is a half sister? I'm like, it feels so silly saying that, but I'm like, my family is comprised of 5 people,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't really talk to like my broader like relatives, you know, so it's like really just the 5 of us. So I found out that I had a half sister through 23andMe, and I was going through a lot of other things too at the time, but this event I really feel like shifted my life.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't so much that there was someone out there. I thought that was exciting.
Yeah.
Like I thought to myself, you know, I have 2 sisters, and I thought, okay, well, I have one more sister.
Sure.
Like that's incredible.
Yeah.
But what I didn't know is that finding that out, my relationships would change.
Yeah.
And so my relationship with my dad changed around that time. It was not a great situation. I think he really felt as though I was overstepping and like digging for information when really I just wanted to know like how much Portuguese and German I was.
Yeah, it was innocent.
It was very innocent.
And also like, that's not fair.
Yeah, that's not fair. But, you know, so basically like that just shifted something in my mind, because it's not that a lot changed. Like that was a big revelation, but it's not like my day-to-day life changed. But in my mind, I knew that there was just something in me that I was like, you know what? I've been looking at my family in a way that is not realistic. I put so much pressure on myself to, when I lived in San Francisco, and if I was free over the weekends, I would go home. I would like check on my mom. And it maybe at the time didn't seem like I was checking on her, you know, because I was going and seeing my friends as well, but checking to make sure everything was okay. Like kind of the glue. I've always felt like I was really the glue that was holding everything together. And if I wasn't going to be there, it was going to fall apart. Because like I had mentioned,
a lot of pressure to put on yourself.
Yeah. And like I had mentioned, they had a tumultuous relationship that I put on me. Right. So when this all happened,
it rocked the boat in a big way.
It rocked the boat. And
did your mom know?
She did not know.
Because it's your dad's child.
She did not know. But as another, as another detail about this situation, I actually then found out that I had 2 more half sisters that my mom did know about, that I had met when I was a kid. I don't know them now. I don't have a relationship with them. But my mom knew about that. My mom didn't know about this. It was before he had met my mom.
Were all of the half sisters pre?
Yes.
Well, that's good.
It was pre.
I know this story so well, but we haven't talked about it in so long, and it's very bizarre because Marissa and I kind of have a very similar story, because I also found out that I have a half sister when I was like 18, my dad's child, and we all kind of like the family kind of knew about her. We met her when she was like 18, but it was never like confirmed by my dad until like she reached out later. Anyways, go on, please.
Yeah, so my mom knew about some of it. She was fine by it. You know, she was like, it was before.
Yeah,
whatever.
sure.
Things, you know, it's life.
Yeah.
But the shift in my relationship kind of with my dad at that point, and then also realizing that maybe the relationship I thought maybe I didn't have, it was very much like it was very confusing for me.
Well, and you were like, there was like blame kind of being put on you.
There was a lot of blame
for the discomfort
Yeah.
that this information
Yeah.
created. And I remember when you were going through this, how heavily that was weighing on you. And that is just, it's just, that's what I mean. It's just not fair.
Yeah, I mean, he was like, "Don't tell anybody. Like this is my personal business. All this stuff." And now look at me.
Yeah. This is your life.
But like,
this is your story.
But
too.
I only mentioned that story because I do feel like it was an important, like just new world for me of I really needed to figure out some family issues.
Yeah.
Really needed to get to know myself.
Yeah.
And really needed to understand the behaviors that I have that still sometimes I exercise. Like last week, I had like a little meltdown over the weekend, and it's the learning these things that I've been taught as a child, and learning new ways to cope, and also knowing that now I'm an adult. I want to be able to take care of myself. And maybe some of the people that protected me before as a kid, maybe they're not going to do that when I'm an adult. You know what I mean?
Well,
I will feel a little bit on my own now.
Yeah. And I think so much of what this experience seems like it was also for you was like pulling off like the veil. Right? Like you had this image of your family, like you knew your parents like had some issues and stuff, but you were going back. You were like keeping the family together, keeping that veil on. And this information kind of took it off, and then took it off of a lot of other things that you were maybe not seeing.
Yeah.
Or not wanting to see.
Yeah.
And you had to get very real about your relationships and very real about yourself. And I think that's when, as your friend from an outsider's perspective, like I feel like that's when I saw you really start to turn in.
Yeah.
Like turn inwards and like have to start doing the work, like doing the shadow work and like inner
that
child
book you
work.
gave me about your inner shadow. I'm blanking on the name right now, but
I
like
can't remember
I've read
either.
it
It's
a couple
like
times.
Kind of thin one, right?
Really thin book. I'm so glad that you saw that, because it's like you don't know it at that time that that's like the shift that you're making. But internally, I was just like, okay, I need to change my life. And I also had been with Nick for a couple years. I had never been in relationships before where I really expressed myself, where I really said what I was going
Girl,
through.
I know that. That's recent for me.
Yeah. Where I was just like me.
Yeah.
Right? Like my two like closest friends from high school, I would say outside of them and Nick and you, there's not a lot of really no one else, maybe outside of my mom, that like really knows who I am and my true nature. So I had to do a lot of digging. I started going to therapy, and I started to do some work around that. And I went to this person, and that was my first story I told them, was what I was going through, because I was going through it at that time.
I mean, that was the string that was unraveling.
Yeah.
Everything else.
Yeah. We started to dive into, obviously a lot of other things that tie into it, childhood and everything along the way, and then dealing with issues that were going on in the present.
I'm sure a lot of your inner child work was around like the pressure you felt to keep your family.
Yeah.
Happy, that veil on.
Yeah, definitely.
Everyone should do inner child work, by the way. Like being able to speak to the younger version of yourself in such a compassionate and caring tone is probably the most healing thing that I've ever done.
Yeah.
It like makes me cry. Like, it's
and
just honestly so powerful.
Sometimes, and that's really hard, right? Like it's, even though we're practicing this, we're learning every day. We're trying to adapt these things into like just who we naturally are without having to like, trip up and fall and then go back again and do it again. It's like, I feel so lucky to have people in my life that allow that for me and have allowed a safe space for me to grow and me to figure it out. And so went to the same therapist for a couple years. Unfortunately, she ended up moving during the pandemic, and my insurance wouldn't cover like the out of state insurance. I did find another therapist, but I took a break. And while I was taking a break, I definitely took some ventures in psychedelics. I had thought about psychedelics for a long time, but I don't like being out of control.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
That is like the number one thing that I don't. It makes me so uncomfortable, which is life. So life is uncomfortable. But I dabbled in taking mushrooms, had some like good experiences. I think the most life-changing experience that like we talked about a lot is when I went and I did ayahuasca,
So wild.
which was so wild. And again, like
I have not done it, but your story and your experience with it was so wild to hear about.
so wild. A lot of healing from that. A lot of they say it's like clearing out the cobwebs.
Yeah.
And it was really intense. And that for me, that was, I think,
that is not an easy experience, by the way. Like first and foremost, I'll just say, like, I'm not encouraging anyone to do these things. That's not what we're here doing. That is your own personal journey.
Yeah.
But the choice to do ayahuasca, it's a big choice because that is not, it's just not an easy thing to go through.
It was a big choice. And it, looking back on it, I didn't think about it enough. I mean, I'm glad it happened the way it happened, but like I really should have thought about it enough, if I am being honest. Like I feel sort of silly saying that, but some of my friends had done it. They had gone to this specific retreat that I went to, which was in Marin County. So I'm like, of course I'm going to go there because it like feels like home. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I went there and it was a 3-day experience. I didn't know it was going to be co-ed. I thought this was like an all women's thing. So that was one thing I didn't look into very much.
So you rented a room with some of your friends.
Yeah, which was actually my friend's idea, which, Cher, if you're listening, I'm so grateful for you too, because I did not realize this, but you do the whole experience. I knew you did the whole experience with people in a big room. It's kind of what you think of when you think of one of those ceremonies. You all have like a mat laid down. You have your comfy blanket, something that you're in comfy clothes. You're gonna be there for like 8 hours. So my friend had wanted to rent a space, which I'm so glad we did, because I also didn't know that you slept in that room too.
Yeah, that's fucking wild. I forgot you told me about that.
Which I'm like, I couldn't
would
have
been
done
so
that.
uncomfortable.
I
hate having people watch me sleep.
No,
like,
and for those that don't know what ayahuasca is, it's a plant medicine that essentially it makes you purge. So you will throw up. You do fast beforehand, but like you still will purge. And so it can be very uncomfortable, especially in a group of people.
Yeah.
It was
what a vulnerable state to be in with a bunch of strangers.
Very vulnerable, but
Good for you.
Met the best people and everyone at a different stage of their life, which made, I think I was the youngest person there, which made me feel good. But it made me feel like really amazed that, because there were people all the way up until like their mid 60s, made me feel really amazed that people were taking this medicine really seriously. It wasn't just, I wasn't going there as like, oh, this is a fad and this is fun. Like I thought a lot about it. Thought about going for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And it was really only just because my friend had gone a few times. She knows the woman who does it. That's a shaman.
And the history of ayahuasca is so deep and so rich. It's an ancient ceremony that is just packed with such important history. I don't know. It's just not something to be taken lightly.
Yeah, not to be taken lightly. So it was an incredible experience. The first night was very much an internal self-love journey. It was very interesting. It was like you took the medicine, you're in the room with everybody. You don't know everybody is there. You're not paying attention to them. You're really paid attention to yourself. And people are checking on you along the way. There's music, which I also didn't know. I thought this was going to be like a very chill, like sound bath experience. No, there was like a tambourine at one point. There was like a little like not a full-on drum, but like
literally,
a little bit of music.
My stomach is anxious you saying this.
It only made me uncomfortable because I wasn't expecting it, But the people that were there were beautiful. They called them like the angels. They would help you if you needed to. They would dance with you if you wanted. Like it was really fun, but again, unexpected and something I should have looked into to begin with. But when I first took the medicine, it was very much like I was moving. I don't know if you ever have stuck energy in your body and you like find your body, like you're moving your body trying to get it out. Mm-hmm. But I store a lot of energy in my lower back, and I exercise a lot of that energy out through this process, which was interesting. And I just started kind of like feeling my arms, or like it sounds so weird, felt like my stomach or my hip bones, and I'm like, I never touch my body,
Yeah.
in the shower, sure, wash my body. But like, I don't give any love to myself, right? I'm not like
Wow.
give myself a hug or anything like that.
Yeah.
If you do that, I mean, that's incredible, but I never been a person to do that. So I was doing that the whole time.
Yeah.
It was so interesting. And I was just seeing myself like going down in my DNA and my body and just being like, you should love yourself. You should be proud of yourself. Like you've gone through so much,
You had the physical and mental self-love journey.
It was amazing. And then I felt good after that. And I was like, oh, I could go home. Well, no, you take the medicine a second night. And that was a whole nother story. But essentially I envisioned my mom, and when I really thought I would envision my dad, because I was going through all this stuff,
Yeah.
like, and a lot of the family things that I've gone through in my life have to do with my dad. So I just thought, okay, this experience, I have to really be ready to see him, if I'm going to have visions. I didn't see him one time. It was so interesting. I saw my mom. I saw her taking care of my grandmother. And I was a teenager when that was happening. We would go to San Francisco every other weekend and we would see her. And she lived in a home at the time. And I was seeing like the pain that she had when she would have to leave, and like the fact that my mom was doing everything in her power that she could, and she was doing the best she can.
Yeah.
And I felt so much more love for her after that experience. And so just a deeper connection to like, I am so much like her. I know that about myself, and in all the amazing qualities that she has, I know that I carry those.
Yeah.
And so I think it was an interesting reflection on like, that's generational.
Mm-hmm. That maternal lineage is powerful.
Yeah.
Or even just the feminine energy within a lineage is very powerful.
Yeah. Very powerful. It was very uncomfortable. I will say it was the most uncomfortable feeling I've ever felt, because it was painful too.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of envisioning some of the things I was envisioning as a teenager that I would see my mom go through. But all in all, incredible experience. I mean, outside of that journey, just it took me, I would say, about 6 months to like even really think of some of the things that I've experienced.
You were
there.
processing
I
still.
was processing a lot, but since then I've just,
it did shift something in you.
It did
like
shift something.
I witnessed it from an outsider's perspective. Like after what happened with your family and how heavy that became, and even prior to that, the way that you would push through things and push through your migraines and push through the pain and, bury your head in work. And I'm not, I've done the same shit. So takes one to know one. But after you went through that journey, there was that self-love definitely came to the surface, and the focus on yourself and your own growth, which is so important versus others. Because if we are not focused on ourselves and our own self-growth, there's no way we can help others. Like heal yourself so that you can show up in this world the best version of you. That's the best route to take. And I think that was the shift I saw in you for sure.
I think so too. I think since then I have been much more focused on myself, and I tell that to people all the time. That's like, you really truly need to be focused on you from within and delete everything else, even if there's guilt. I have a lot of guilt, but there are relationships that I've had now where I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
I need to focus on myself first.
Absolutely.
And I don't have that energy at this time.
And as you do that, you become an even better friend and a better family member and all of those things. Like, it's just hard, I think, sometimes for people to see. It was hard for me too. And now I know it like so clearly. And I think we both went through that kind of shift around the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful to have had a friend to share that with.
Me too.
Because it felt heavy at times.
I know.
So heavy.
We were talking about it at lunch last week.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, our conversation is going to be just like when we're hanging out. And it's so true. It's just like, we have so many things in common, and even so many things not in common, but just being open and doing that work on yourself and like really being vulnerable. Like for anyone listening that's not, has trouble with being vulnerable, just start with your closest friend.
Yeah.
Like,
and if they're not that way, I guarantee you it is human to want that. It can feel so uncomfortable, but that's conditioning.
Yeah.
It is innately human to want to be vulnerable and connect with one another. So even if there's like hesitancy, I think, because I've experienced that with some friends we were talking about earlier today. I have a friend who isn't always comfortable opening up, but I push them a little bit and I see it, you know, slowly opening up and slowly changing and them growing and it being a very positive thing. So, yeah. Well, thank you so much for. I knew like half of the episode was just going to be us talking about your career because it is so rich and you have done so much. Like I said, you're like truly like I think the most well-rounded beauty industry person that I know because you've done so much. But like I said, I especially for someone like you where it's like very aspirational kind of for a lot of people who are out there and want to work in the beauty space to know that there's so much more that goes on. There's so much more behind the scenes and the importance of taking care of yourself and your mental health first and foremost. So thank you for opening up.
Of course.
I mean, you don't like to put your face on camera, but you just put your face and your vulnerability on camera. So I applaud you.
Only for you.
I love you so much. Thank you for coming to do this.
Yes.
It's been really cool just to be able to film and have these conversations with so many people that I've known for so many years, and we've kind of like come up in the beauty industry together, and it's just so nostalgic and feels so nice, and I'm just feeling really full from it, very full of love. My heart is full, and during a really dark time in our country at the moment while we're filming this, I'm so grateful for this time, and I hope that you all loved what Marissa shared. She's such a special person to me. She truly is like, every time we hang out, it's like therapy. And we've been through so many phases together. And so give her a follow, find all of her handles. She's definitely one to watch, and I will see you all next time. Oh, and all the things you say at the end of a podcast: subscribe, ring the bell for notifications so you can see episodes coming out. Leave me a review, please, because that is just so helpful. And also I love reading them, and I will see you all next time.